All right. So, VG10 Animal Mother, you'd made a video for me on the cowboy gun thing, and you covered a lot of good ground. I have it. I have I've kind of figured out to a degree certain things, right? Like this is gonna probably come as a surprise. I've owned over the course of my life. I've owned mostly 22 handguns, which is probably a character flaw. Currently, the only handgun I own is a Ruger Mark IV. So, carrying it in the summertime, the vest that I want to get is made by Wyoming Traders. It's kind of a Western style vest. It's very light. It's actually their Texas concealed carry vest or whatever. When I get that, I'd probably be able to carry two handguns. So maybe that would be one that I would carry as it is now, because there's not a lot of good holsters for that Mark IV. It's really more something I'll have under winter clothes in the wintertime. The and yes, I have. There was some reasons that I didn't update my the address on my ID, and I updated it now, and I'm just always worried when it comes to lying on a 4473 that that's going to come back to bite me in the ass. So once I get my new ID, which will be in the next week or two, I'm going to take that I got a check from some out of town work that I haven't cashed, because I said if I cash it, then I'll spend it. So that will cover the majority of that J frame, and that will be that 642. That's Smith and Wesson. The the full size handgun, and this is just me. A full size, like that full size handgun. I don't know. Like, okay, like let me give you that J frame is kind of like what you were saying when you mentioned like pulling out of a purse and whatever. For me, it would be if somebody's on top of me stabbing the shit out of me or something like that, I can just jam that into the guy and crank off 5 rounds, and that should stop any fight in theory. It's not to say that I won't do some practicing with it at distance. I think that'd be kind of cool to be able to swing that one, but it's not really a moving forward kind of. It's your ticket to get out of a situation. That's the way I look at it. If that makes any sense, maybe it doesn't. In terms of a full size handgun, I say I'm looking at that 10 millimeter. 45 Colt is in the running too, because you can get like a Ruger single action or a Smith and Wesson Model 25, and that'll handle some stout 45 Colt loads. 357 is further down the list for me. I don't know why. It just is. I I I could talk circles around it, but there's really no good reason. And I think that I'm going to forego the pistol caliber carbine idea. My only reason for that was I was thinking, well, if a guy had a pistol caliber carbine, that might negate the need for an AR-15. But yeah, so long as I catch it at a time when there isn't an election going on or something like that, I should be able to scoop a cheap used one at the gun shop. And like I say, I mean, if there's something I don't like on it, I mean, it's easy enough to change. I really I really thought, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, and I'd like somebody to. I know you've said this to me before, that it doesn't matter, and maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I was originally thinking to swap out the barrel and get a 20-inch barrel, get the most out of that rifle, and get it chambered in 223 Wild. Because I was always told that that was the best. Then you could shoot 223 or 5.56 and it does them both well. But maybe that's bullshit. I don't know. So now that I've got all that out of the way, and I've burned a lot of time on that, but getting to your conundrum of like your black powder hunting pistol, snake charmer, or whatever, there's a few different routes you could go on that. The first one, which is straight snake charmer, and the most expensive route to go, would be, and I don't know, I shouldn't say this because I've never, no, that's not true. I handled one, but it was a very long time ago when they first came out. And I was pretty young at the time, and I thought they were cool, but you could get one of those Bond Arms snake slayers and get, like Dave Canterbury makes those plugs to put in the back of brake actions to turn them into like almost like an inline muzzleloader. And I'm pretty sure they make those for 410, but I could be way off base on that. But that would be kind of a good route to go. Those Bond Arms snake slayers they're expensive, but they're not that expensive for buying. Like even if you buy them brand new, they're not crazy, you know. But they're still more than you probably want to put out. And then I don't know what that plug to put in the back would cost. But then you would have something that you could shoot 45 Colt, 410, or roll your own, so to speak. And I actually think that would be a good idea in terms of snakes. And if you were someplace where you were dealing with wild dogs or something like that, a load of number sixes or whatever would deter, a wild dog or something like that. But I don't know. That's kind of your call. The other thought, you were mentioning those ones on Dixie Gunworks. I originally was thinking of getting the Lyman Plains pistol, but Lyman quit making it, and now it's made by Invest Arms for Lyman. And I've heard that the quality control has taken a real shit. So that might be the route where you say, like, buying a kit is a better idea because they're kind of a kit anyway if you got to fix them. So, and the one you're looking at, I'm pretty sure that's the same one I was looking at, was the Traditions Kentucky pistol. I would get the one in 50 caliber. The only reason I would get the one in, and I think they're $280 some, I want to say. I would get the 50 cal, and the only reason I would get the 50 cal is that 50 caliber components are easier to come by. You want projectiles, if you want to use pellets or whatever, right? Like that's the easiest to come by. And you kind of mentioned with and when you're building that out, like you seem like you have some craftsman skills. Like you could make a detachable stock for that if you wanted, and that would work. You mentioned Flintlock. Flintlock for me, I've played with them before. They are a real pain in the urethra. I just wouldn't bother. I get it. There's advantages to it. I personally feel like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. That's just me. And those number 11 percussion caps are not bad. Only thing I would do is I would switch out that Traditions nipple for an I think it's Uncle Mike's. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. There was when I did a lot of muzzleloading, I switched out my nipples to those ones, and I'll have to look into that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was Uncle Mike's, but I might be way off. Also, too, you mentioned like the shooting sticks. You could do the monopod. There's lots of good monopods you could buy out there. Good idea. Or you could do like the shooting sticks that are like a bipod. Look into, it's called a pursing knot. Pursing knot, something like that. You'll find it out there. If you know, it's for my shooting sticks that I use from a seated position. I made them and I use that knot. And your other option, which could be a cheaper option, I don't know, is you go to any pawn shop. I shouldn't say any pawn shop, but a lot of pawn shops have muzzleloaders. They usually sell those muzzleloaders really cheap. And you could take that muzzleloader to a gunsmith, and I don't know, it depends on how much work you want to do, right? I would assume the more prep work you do for that gunsmith, the less he'll charge you. But I would tend to think a gunsmith would cut a barrel off and recrown it for, I don't know, $60. The important part is to get it recrowned. But you could get a muzzleloading rifle, whether it's an inline or a traditional. Inline might even be better because it's drilled and tapped. You could put an optic on it. That 209 ignition being inline and having a stronger cap, it might be, in terms of a modern blanket gun, that might be the ticket, right? And because it's not actually a firearm, you can do whatever you want with it, I'm pretty sure. And you could cut that barrel off right at the stock. Leave the stock on it and cut the ramrod down and everything like that. You could remount a sight on the front of it or not and put a red dot or a scope or whatever, and that would fit in a very small case. The only challenges you come across when you start going really short barrels like pistols and stuff like that with muzzleloaders is that you're kind of, a muzzleloader gets its power from the length of barrel burning that powder. So you would have to go with a much faster burning powder, like a 3 or a 4F, probably a 4F, which is basically flash pan powder. And with that inline, you'd be able to load it with pellets too, which would be quicker. But yeah, those are three options. That first one is cool as shit, but it would be the most expensive option. The other two are, I think, attainable. Probably getting a rifle from a pawn shop and cutting it down would be probably the cheapest. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Everyone, take care.